Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Huddle, a Black and Gold podcast where if yinz have a terrible towel collection, if you get chills when you hear Renegade, then y'all in the right place here, man, because Gage and I are going to sit here and talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we got a very, very, very special show for you today. That's
We
right.
got our first historic episode.
Yes, right. So we told you guys the last show that we were going to do a historic show. So, Mr. Gage, Ron, the host, how you doing, brother?
I'm sensational. That's my co-host, Ron Mont. Ron, how are you, pal?
You know what? Anytime I get a chance to talk about a Super Bowl winning football team that's dressed in black and gold, sign me up.
Not a lot of those for the Black and Gold in recent years.
And we had to go back a ways. We had to go back a ways.
21 years ago. No big deal.
Oh my gosh, has it really been that long already?
It has been that long, pal.
Oh my gosh.
50 Cent was the biggest name in the music industry whenever the Steelers and the Seahawks matched up.
Okay, so whoa, how old do we feel now?
Exactly.
We are going to be talking about the 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers. This was on the list of many of the historical things that we wanted to do here at the Huddle, a Black and Gold podcast. So, Gage, kick us off here, man, with this 2005 look back at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So let's start it off by the 2005 Steelers in a lot of ways were kind of a perfect storm. I feel like they got hot at the perfect time. I feel like they had their issues at the perfect time, which was early on enough to where it didn't ruin their season. I thought that they had to go through 3 road games and win as the 6th seed, which to my knowledge had never happened before, and I'm not sure has happened since.
Oh, no, it's happened since.
How many times has it happened since? I'm curious. One more time?
But and Pittsburgh was the first one. Oh gosh, I can't remember. It was either
that was worth a shot.
Yeah, no, it was one of the more recent ones. It was the Seahawks did it, I think, or it was one of the more recent winners over the last over the last 10 years. It's been done since the Steelers have done it, but only one of, I think it was the Giants maybe. When the Giants went up against the perfect season of the
Patriots.
The Patriots, I think they were the 6th seed and had to do the same thing and then ended up winning that game.
And honestly, they had no right winning that game at all. So special shout out to
Eli. But okay.
Yeah, and like honestly, the Steelers to pivot back, I mean, the Steelers really had no right going as far as they did that year. I mean, they were a solid, well-rounded team with a young quarterback and a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, but it just kind of didn't feel like a Super Bowl team until it did, you know?
That's a good way to put that, because when they got to that game against Chicago, right? So it was pretty much a standard Pittsburgh season up until that point. They were leading the division. Excuse me, I'm having a little. They were leading the, but at that point they were 7-5.
Right? Yeah, here. So let's start at the beginning of the season, right?
Right?
So they start off.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, yeah, so we won't necessarily go game by game, but like for week 1, week 2, week 3, we start off 2-1, right? You know, we dominate the Titans, we dominate the Texans, we lose to the Patriots. Go ahead.
But
what's up?
We got to say this for game 1 because this man,
goodness,
his presence felt, known. I think this was one of the things that vaulted him into Canton. By the way, this is a Canton shirt, but you see the Hall of Fame right there. Yeah, all right. Shout out to Troy. But the fact that he was able to jump over the offensive line and defensive line to tackle the quarterback at the goal line to prevent them from scoring.
I think that was a couple years later, but I mean, I've always thought of that every time I see the Titans and the Steelers play. I'm always just like, imagine if Troy was here. The big play that I remember from that game, or at least the big player, I should say, that I remember from that game was Willie Parker, who probably should have gotten the MVP. Because Willie Parker, let me see if I get these stats right. It's been a long time. But it was 22 carries for, I think, was 161 yards. and he had a
Yep,
touchdown on the ground and a touchdown receiving.
it was like an all day, and all I remember hearing was Bill Cowher saying, "Just are you breathing out there?"
Yeah,
Right, because Willie Parker would hold his breath when he'd run.
which is crazy. It feels like there's a lot of ways that could end up disastrously on a football field.
Like, uh, it's a good thing you ain't breaking them long because you might run out of breath by the time you get down there.
Yeah, you're not kidding. So dominate the teams that we're supposed to dominate, which is a thing that we haven't seen in the Berg for quite some time. We lose to
Right.
the Patriots, in a last second field goal from Vinatieri. You take Steelers had the longest touchdown pass of the season in that game, which was 85 yards to Heinz Ward,
Yep.
if memory
Yep.
serves me
Yep.
correctly.
Yep.
So solid performances. They make their way to 3-2, and they go
Yeah.
against the Bengals. They win that game. And long story short, we're going to fast forward a little bit, and we're going to say that we take it up to the 7-2 mark, and that's where the Steelers go on their 3-game skid, in which Bill Cowher looks back on as probably a blessing in disguise. Team that was getting a little too big for their britches, thought they were a little better than they probably were at that point. And for a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, who had an ego the size of freaking Texas, it was probably for the best that they lost a couple games and kind of got knocked back to reality. What do you think? They lost, it was the Ravens, the Colts, and then I think there's one more, but I can't remember who it was offhand. It might have been the Ravens, or might have been the Bengals, I think, because then they went 7-5. And so once they did that, they go on their big skid. It truly was
So
a
the
concern. Like,
games
not only is this
they lost to the Ravens, the Colts, and the Bengals.
the Bengals. Yep. Okay. I thought
Yep.
so.
Okay.
And I remember that game was like a shootout, too. We lost like 38-31 or something like that. I mean,
The Baltimore game was overtime.
Baltimore game was overtime. Yeah. Stover, I think, kicked the field goal.
Right. And then the
Oh,
Bengals,
yeah. Actually, can we talk about that game real quick? Because the Ravens game, do you remember, had that Heinz Ward crazy interception where he caught it and then accidentally
it
kicked it in the
bounced.
air?
Yeah, and it kicked off and it bounced. Yeah. All right.
Bill Hillgrove
Yeah.
said it best. He goes, I've seen a lot of football. I have never seen a play like that.
And you know what? To this day, haven't seen
Never.
one like that ever. Right.
Not
And
even
we've
close.
seen some balls batted, and we've seen some balls that have bounced off of the back of guys' heads or whatever. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but we've never seen the episode. All right. Yeah.
And that interception, I got to give him credit because that was a fingertip interception. If you go back and watch, like he had to like dive and he had to grow 2 inches in height to make that catch.
I mean, what? I'm wearing the what?
Yeah.
Look,
So,
I
so
I
go
have
ahead.
never seen. Now look, and I come from the '70s Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm used to watching Mel Blount and Donnie Shell and rest in peace Mike Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
And watching Mike Wagner back there just taking guys' heads off.
Yeah.
Okay, right? And so
Yeah.
when the Tasmanian Devil came in, right? I've never seen anybody affect a game like the way he affects a game. Like even Sherman at his best. Okay, you have to put Troy in that same sentence with
I agree.
Ronnie Lott,
Mm-hmm.
because teams would game plan around Ronnie Lott. Teams game planned around Troy Polamalu.
I have a video about this. It was for the 2010 Steeler defense, so I won't repeat myself too much, but it applies just as well here. That like throwing as a quarterback, throwing like, do you remember how there was a team that had to call a timeout one day in the middle of a Giants game because they couldn't find where Lawrence Taylor was? And it turns out Lawrence was like on the sideline getting his cleats adjusted or something like that. And so it
You
just,
know.
I apply that same line of thought to Troy Polamalu, and I'm sure a lot of quarterbacks from those days would probably agree with me. They're like, if you were throwing the football and you weren't fully aware of where Troy was, you were bound to like get burned for it.
And he did. He burned you. He would either make the
Mm-hmm.
interception or disrupt the play or whatever the case was. All right.
He was good at well, real quick, and then he was good at doing that, and he was able to you could do everything correct as a quarterback. You could know what the play is, know what the defense is doing, and adjust everything perfectly. But because Troy knew you were going to do that, he'll still punish you. It's got to be so damn frustrating. I can't
The
believe
guy
it.
is just so cerebral. But
Mm-hmm.
I got to say this: the offensive line at that time for the Pittsburgh Steelers was one of the, as far as I'm concerned, one of their better lines over the last few
Ever.
years. Yeah. Um, the fact that Willie Parker had the amount of yards that he did per game,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, he averaged what, 110 yards a game that season?
Something like that. I mean, I know that the very next year he set the Steelers' single game rushing record that I think still stands to this day
Okay.
against was it the Saints? I think it was
I think it
against the
was the Saints.
Saints.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
all right. So you got us to the 3-game losing skid,
So that
right?
takes us to the Bears game that we wanted to talk about prior. So tell me a
So
little bit
now
about the
we're
Bears.
7-5, right? Steelers are 7-5, and they are on the verge of not making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've heard so many accounts of this that at the end of that game there, they lost against the Bengals because I believe the Bengals also vilified the Terrbile Towel during that game as well.
Yeah, TJ Hushmanzada wiped his feet with it. I was like, yep, sure, that's not going to come back to bite you.
A couple of
Bill
games
Cowher for
later.
that playoff game. We're not gonna skip all the way to the playoffs quite yet, but like I do remember that for that Bengals playoff game, Bill Cowher's little bit of motivation was just showing them the clip of TJ wiping his cleats at the town. Just be like, I want
That's
you
all you
guys
got
to
to do.
remember that.
That's all you
I
got to
want you to
do.
remember that. Let's go play football now.
Hey, right? Here, let me just fire you up and then go out there and play. But the fact that was what was going on here for this team, the offensive line, the running, the whole thing. We get to 7-5, and Bill Cowher wipes off the whiteboard
Yes, the whiteboard.
and puts Chicago at the top. That's it.
It's all that matters.
And he called out the entire team and
Mm-hmm.
said, give yourself a grade for your last game, right? And how are we going to fix that grade? And I'm going to tell you what. That was the switch. That game was the switch game, I think, because they
Here's
went
what
out there and just, we saw the greatest picture of all time where Jerome Bettis runs over Brian Urlacher. You know what I
their
mean,
lacquer
right?
pick.
Yeah, okay, right. And so that was the switch, I think. That's what changed things for Pittsburgh that year.
I agree in two parts, I'll say, because there were two elements I think that caused our turnaround. You had one that was the fuel, and one was that was the ignition.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
think that if I can just go on this Tomlinism for a second, if I can continue with it, I would say that Bill Cowher wiping away everything on the whiteboard, putting the single name at the top and saying, focus on that, nothing else matters, doing the report card thing, kind of breaking down all the walls and saying, let's get back to the core principles at hand here. And I think that was the fuel. But I think what lit the spark was Jerome Bettis's big run to, I believe it was like a 50 something yard run or something like that. He broke away and broke free, and then him running over Urlacher. Let's be real. Bettis almost won that game. I mean, no team wins without a line, or so to speak. So when I'm talking like single handedly, I do mean though in a generic term that Jerome Bettis pretty much won that game for us single handedly.
I'm going to tell you right now, I can tell you from my experience of watching football, which is a lot, I have seen guys, and I saw that once before in a Steeler uniform with a Bill Cowher coach team, and that was Bam Morris.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just take over a game.
The more
Okay.
carries you gave him, the better he got, kind of thing.
You know who that reminded me of? And I'm not
Who?
putting him in the same breath, but Marcus Allen was like that.
Eh.
The more you gave him the ball, the better he got. Like it was downhill for you if he started getting on his and he started doing it,
Yeah.
right. But I
But so
think that
Bettis runs over Urlacher. He smokes through that game. He gets that big run. It's the last 100-yard game of his career, and I think that
yes,
that is what lit the match. That's what lit
yes,
the fuse.
because Pittsburgh then proceeds to go on another bender. One, two, three. They
Eight.
win out. Four more games, they win out. And then three playoff games win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got to look at that game as the pivotal point in the season.
It's the turning point, no doubt. We go from that 7-5 mark to an 11-5 mark to make the postseason, including a 41-0 shellacking of the Cleveland Browns, as it should be.
Right, as it should be. As
The
it
natural
should
hierarchy
be.
of the AFC North.
However, and I love the quote that I always hear and read about this quote that and Bill Cowher said, look, today was not our best day, but I have a feeling that we're going to see these guys again. And when we do, it's going to be different.
Are you talking about the Colts game? I'm sorry, you cut
Colts
out.
game. Colts game.
Okay.
In that first Colts game, what happened? Peyton Manning dropped back. First play of the flipping game, 80-yard bomb. Like, so it's going to be one of those games.
One of those games.
Right? Well, we're just going to get pummeled. You know what I mean? Right? That was not the case when we rolled in to Indianapolis to play them Colts. And look, you got to give it to him. You got to give it to Peasy.
Yeah. Hey, listen, before we get to all that, we're going to go with the Bengals game first. We got to talk about the first playoff game.
All right.
So, first playoff game, we go into Cincy. First game on the road, you got to go against a pretty cocky Cincinnati Bengals team, which really didn't have reason not to be.
Who
It was solid.
Day?
Don't get me started on that stuff. But I will say, always been a Carson Palmer truther. I always thought that dude kind of got the short end of the stick, kind of no matter where he went.
I agree. No, I agree.
he kind of had that
pretty solid quarterback.
I would agree, like kind of the Hall of Very Good, and that sort of like Matt Hasselbeck tier that kind of gets I won't say lost to history, but kind of doesn't get remembered as fondly as they maybe should. So they had a high-powered offense where they got Carson Palmer, TJ Hushmanzada, Chad Ocho. They got Rudy Johnson, Chris Henry. They just have an assortment of talent on that offense. And, credit to Marvin Lewis, as weird as it kind of feels to say that, is that, like, he did put together quite the unit that year. There's no doubt about it.
Defense was really solid, too. Their defense was really solid. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I mean, their whole team was pretty good. They definitely earned their way there. That's for sure. They could win shootouts and they could win with hard-nosed defense. However, big factor that I think a lot of people overlooked is that the Bungles in those days had a habit.
And you said it correctly.
Errors.
You said it correctly. The Bungles.
The Bungles in those days, man, just kind of had this habit of overthinking, flaming out. It just kind of was what it was. The Steelers have gone through that too. I'm not going at that from a place of superiority. I'm simply just saying.
I think the biggest thing of that game was when Kimo von Oelhoffen took out Carson Palmer. And even to this day, Carson Palmer still does not believe that it was a dirty hit. And it was not.
It wasn't like that. I'm totally okay with calling out dirty hits when I see them. Debo wasn't necessarily the cleanest player in the world. That said, though, coming from players, coming from coaches, and coming from the commentary team from that game for Cincinnati, the Cincinnati commentary team was like, yeah, Kimo's not really a dirty player. I don't really know what happened there. Like it,
right.
When
he
everyone
got
kind
of and tripped up, and that's just how it happens, man.
It happens. If it happened to Ben, like listen, it happened to Ben that year against the Chargers. Louis Castillo took out his knee, and I was never like, oh, what a dirty, piece of garbage he is. No, it's football, man. It happens.
It happens exactly. You got.
I feel
bodies flying around. there's going to be some injuries. You know what I mean?
I feel for Carson Palmer, man, because like you
Yeah.
can have history has shown you can have like one Super Bowl winning year as a quarterback and then like 18 other years of floundering and no one really cares because you won the Super Bowl. And it kind of in the same way that Tony Romo didn't get that playoff win because of the Das catch and or the Des catch and then it's hard to feel like these big moments kind of don't get stolen from quarterbacks that don't deserve it sometimes. So I feel for Carson on that one. But the fact that John Kitna came into the game and put up like a 14-point lead on us right after that was very alarming, I would say.
We weren't ready for him.
No, we weren't. And
It was
so
different in
they
the
go.
second half, though.
It became different in the second half, where I wouldn't say that it was some big second half adjustment. It was just playing better, and it was the defense, the Bungles
Stepping
defense
up.
wearing down.
Yep.
And it was in the big moments. You remember at one game, one of the plays, John Kitna scrambled out of the pocket and his knee hit into the ball, and he made himself fumble. You just kind of had the feeling that it was going to change the time. They snapped the long snapper snapped it over the holder's head during a field goal. There's just too many things that went wrong that you were like, this is the tide's going to turn here. So we ended up winning against Cincinnati.
I wasn't doubting that game. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it looked kind of sketchy at the first, but
Mm-hmm.
when we won out those last four games after the Chicago game, I mean, after we beat Chicago and then won out,
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much had a feeling because, like you said, they got hot right at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you need to do that, right? You especially now that the season's a little longer and you're going deeper into the winter time and everything, you need to get hot at the right time. You need to win just enough
100%.
games. You need to win just enough games to keep you in the hunt. And then when it's time, you got to flip that switch and make it go. So that's two games now on the road for a sixth seed.
The sixth seed making it to the bowl has never been done before, but they were confident they can do it, and they proved themselves correct. So game two, going in against Peyton Manning, Omaha boy, five head boy, whatever you want to call him, the
Well,
greatest
I'm five
hospital
head.
ball
He's
thrower
six
of
head.
all time.
I'm five head. He's six head because I can put five fingers up there. But man, I guarantee you could probably put another finger up there for Peyton.
You could probably put two whole hands just back to back.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. He's selling real
Anyway.
estate for that thing. God bless him.
God bless football.
Yeah. So we go against Omaha boy and Peyton, or excuse me,
Again.
Joey Porter. Joey Porter, rather, talks a healthy amount of trash before this game. One quote that I always remembered that, like, say what you will about it being trash talk or it being said in bad faith. You can argue both of those things are entirely true. But when Joey Porter said they're not looking to beat you, they're looking to trick you, was he wrong?
Nope.
I don't think he was. And that's coming from someone who thinks Peyton's arguably the GOAT.
And I watched Peyton Manning go into the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
I have a T-shirt that says Peyton Manning Hall of Fame. I'm a huge Peyton Manning fan, right? And I love Omaha Boy or Six Head or whatever you want to call him. But you got to admit that offense was more about misdirection and more about going one way and then putting it on the other way.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they led the league in play action that year. Might have been the previous year, but it was close around that time.
Exactly what I'm talking about here. You got, I'm going to probably take a little heat on this because I'm very old school, and one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks is, Johnny Unitas, another Colt.
That we had on our roster.
Right. Yeah, idiots. Anyway, but I think one of the other better quarterbacks out there is you got to put Peyton Manning there. You cannot deny his football IQ. You cannot deny how he studied the game, how he practiced, and then how long he played.
Peyton Manning couldn't feel the tips of his fingers his last 4 years of his career and still made it to two Super Bowls, won one, and put up the single best quarterback season in NFL history. That's post neck surgery.
I mean, come on.
That is
It-
wildly impressive.
is the do you think the Colts are kicking themselves a little bit for trying to trade him or for
Oh,
trading him?
oh no, I don't think so.
Really?
I for
Because
his
after
for,
he
okay,
leaves
look,
the Colts, he goes on and wins a Super Bowl, right?
sure, yeah, no. Listen, the reason why the Colts, this, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but uh the Colts didn't win more Super Bowls in that time frame with Andrew Luck or whatever. It wasn't because they didn't have Peyton Manning. No, they still had Andrew Luck, who was like he wasn't Peyton, but he wasn't very far below him, in my opinion. Um, and like his stats, like honestly, Andrew Luck's stats were he was better than his stats would indicate, and his stats were pretty damn good. But I think that a big part of it wasn't that they didn't have Peyton. I think it was because they had Grigson ruining the roster from the inside out year after year and making Luck do all of the heavy lifting, just like they had Peyton do for years.
Yeah. Okay. So now this game was slightly different against the Colts.
Yeah,
This second game against Colts was a little bit different because, and I think that
they were
the
prepared.
the main thing about that game was Joey Porter.
Yeah, yeah.
3 sacks. Okay.
Two of them on the final drive.
Two of them on the final drive. That is what I think was really what I mean, look, the fumble, obviously,
Yeah.
and the other things that happened after that. But they tried to do that 80-yard bomb first play. It was the other way around. It was the other way around because Pittsburgh came out throwing.
They did. Yeah. Normally if they're going to do that kind of stuff, like they like to ground and pound the ball, but if they're going to go with pass plays, normally it's kind of predictable. This time no, they took a page out of the Colts playbook and we're going play action deep shot.
And it was Miller down to the 20, and then it was a shot to Hines Ward for the touchdown. Boom. How you doing? 7-0.
Or the Antoine Randall L. Do you remember how he like slid and made the catch like behind it? Yeah, great, terrible throw by Ben, but well done by Randall L. It's still six. Doesn't matter how ugly it is. It's still six. But yeah, so we go up 21-3, where the defense just absolutely dominates Peyton Manning. He can't get a lick of space. He can't get any timing. I do remember this on one particular play, and I can't imagine this is the only play it happened, where Troy came up and I think like kind of punched Marvin Harrison in the back and kind
Oh,
of
okay.
knocked him off his route and knocked him off his timing. And then Peyton tried to throw it to him, and he was like 2 or 3 steps off, and so he missed the catch. That was their whole game plan. They kind of took a little bit of inspiration from what the Patriots did against the Colts in recent years, which is just mug their receivers and beat them up, and then screw
Yeah.
up their timing that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, okay.
21-3, and then we fight. They start to get some momentum back.
They did. And they look, you're not going to be able to hold the Colts
Forever.
forever. I mean, seriously, they made a game of it. They made a
Mm-hmm.
game of it. And I don't think it was I don't necessarily think it was, oh, the defense wasn't doing their job. I think it was more Peyton Manning and, and the Colts.
Yeah, and on top of that, the defense did, for all intents and purposes, make a game-sealing interception. It just so happens that they had the Indianapolis Colts, or the refs had them in their back pockets for that game because it was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. Ron, I've seen a lot of football, and you've seen probably twice the amount of football that I have. So, how many times throughout your life have you seen a defender like make the interception, get up and like drop the ball really quickly, and then pick it up and keep going? You see it all the
Couple times.
time.
I've seen it a couple times.
At least a couple
Like
times. It's a very
like
common thing. And
if you pick up the ball and you run a couple of steps and then you drop it again, that's a fumble.
mhm.
So you get to pick it back up again, right? As long as nobody touches you or the ball.
No, but you see, what did the refs rule? The refs ruled that Troy's knee did not get up from the ground and
that he
therefore
didn't
it's
have.
incomplete pass.
Oh,
When is that? When has that ever been a rule in the history of football? I've never heard that be a rule that's ever been used in a replay before or after that.
and I've seen catches that were made on guys' butts.
Yeah.
Okay, that went off a guy's butt and he turned around and it landed on his chest and he caught it, but it never hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a catch? Really?
Yeah. So it.
Okay. How many times have you seen a receiver catch a ball low and
Mm-hmm.
get up? Like they do the full dive and everything and then get up because there's nobody around them.
It's so frustrating because that should have been an interception. It should have been 21-10. They should have been able to bleed the clock right after that. But instead, what happens, pal? They go right down the field, score, get the 2-point conversion, and the Steelers do what they do and go 3 and out. So now we're down to 2 minutes left, 21-18, and the Peyton Manning-led Colts, who have the number 1 offense in football, who had gone undefeated until week 15, and they decided to let up and rest their starters. Well, what they ended up doing is
Never
Joey
rest
Porter
your
decided.
starters.
No, don't rest your starter. Terrible idea. But so with this 2-minute drive left against Omaha boy, Joey Porter, from what an old Steeler DVD that I watched back in the day had said, Joey Porter chose to abandon his defensive assignments and just straight up attacked Peyton on every play.
You could see
and
it.
well,
You could see it. You could see it. It didn't matter where he lined up. He was coming. It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
the line and everything, the protection was prepared for everybody except Joey, which makes me think there might be a lot of truth to what they were saying, that he just said, screw it, I'm done with this.
Yeah, right. I'm coming. I don't care what you guys are saying. I'm coming. But
Joey
but
called game, man. He called game.
It did, and it worked. And I think that those 2 sacks were, I mean, that was the turning point, I think. I mean, that part and, the other.
Then.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then we have the big play where we hand it to Jerome, who had been, fun fact, I did the math on this. Jerome Bettis throughout his career averaged a fumble roughly once every 120 carries. So he never fumbled.
Guy is not known for fumbling.
Ever.
At all, right? And I like what he said, what Coach said to him. Right? He's like, hey, man, I need you to finish this out, but, make sure you protect the ball. He's like, gotcha, all right, coach. Yeah, gotcha, coach. I got this. All right, cool. And then the ball just goes flying into the air. Did you feel that moment?
Go ahead.
Like, because when you're watching the game at that moment and that happens and you are so way up here for stopping the Colts and getting the ball back, and you're on the 2-yard line and you're way up here. All we have to do is punch it in and
oh man,
it was like
Hines Ward summed it
up.
Hines Ward summed it up. Do you remember seeing him where he's all excited, he sees the fumble and he just
yeah.
It was so apropos. Just of course.
But smart Mr. Roethlisberger, had already turned his butt around
and ran back,
was running the other way, right?
To be the last line of defense.
I better get me a head start because this guy's coming, right?
6'5", 250. You really think he's going to catch Nick Harper?
Lumbering down the field. It looks like Peyton Manning running down the field. Yeah.
Like, Ben, what are you doing back there? Good Lord.
But the shoestring tackle. And so you get crushed from the emotion of, oh my gosh, you see the ball flying away and you see the Colts picking up and they're running back the other way. And then you see Ben make the tackle and you're just like, defibrillator.
And it sucks because now we got the world's best offense back on the field.
And what do? They go right down to where they need to do, and then they trot out Mr. Not Miss a Kick all season.
Right before that, though, they had multiple plays where they picked on Brian McFadden, who was one-on-one isolated multiple plays against, I believe it was Reggie Wayne,
It
who's
was.
excellent. I would even call him slightly underrated. And the fact that he was able to break up, especially that like over the shot into the end
Yes,
zone, he had
yes,
a
yes, yes.
big breakup. And so Brian McFadden, a rookie with, comparatively little experience, was able to make the biggest plays of his career to that
Earned
point.
his stripes. Earned his stripes.
100%. And they bring out Mike Vanderjagt, who was at the time the most accurate kicker in NFL history.
And hadn't missed a kick all season.
Hadn't missed one. And I remember even credit to Tunch Ilkin. He called it beforehand. They were like, "Oh yeah, he's never missed a kick." And Lee goes, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "Yeah, law of averages says he misses this one."
I like how when they stop the Colts and you hear Tunch Ilkin, the late Tunch Ilkin, say, "Book the plane," right? And then
rewrite those reservations. We got to finish this one.
And then after the fumble, he's like, "Oh, hold up, we're not booking the plane yet."
Yeah, cancel those reservations. We still got a game to play here.
Oh my god! And then afterwards, he's like, "All right, we're booking the plane again."
Remake those reservations. We did it. Like, yeah, and the look on Jerome Bettis's face on the sideline before the kick specifically, is like one of my favorite. I think sports are a tremendous, for lack of a better word, platform for humanity. And I love, people think that you should outlaw those shots of coaches after they lose the Super Bowl. And I completely disagree, because I think those are some of the most fascinating moments. And seeing Jerome on the sideline, yes. And you see who people really are in those moments. Bill Cowher, who's normally all fiery, he loses Super Bowl 30 and he's just kind of squatting on the ground playing with the grass. It's fascinating. But so to see Jerome Bettis on the sideline, who I love Jerome. With all due respect, we are in this situation because of that play.
Right?
And seeing his face as Vanderjagt goes on the field was just like, it was just a perfect encapsulation. And then he missed it.
Everybody talks about Super Bowl, the Super Bowl in 1991, where the Buffalo Bills kicker was wide right.
Oh, yes.
Right. But okay, it was in the Super Bowl and it was wide right and you lost by 1 point. But I think that kick, the Vanderjagt miss, has to be the next heartbreaking kick.
I think it's in like third or fourth place. I loosely agree with you, because I think the Vikings have also had, like, it was either in the Super Bowl or the game before the Super Bowl where they missed a kick. So like
the playoffs, yeah.
If we want to be like technical about it, he's probably third or fourth place, this Vanderjagt miss, because it's also the year that Peyton Manning officially became known as a regular season quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. But the fact that he missed it, and
we made it out alive, man. We're headed to Denver now.
Headed to Denver. He said, book the tickets to Denver. And you know what? That game,
there's not nearly as much to talk about, to be honest. We can kind of get through this one quicker, because it was a Shanahan Broncos team with Shanahan's like last stand, I think, as a real elite
who
coach.
Was the quarterback for Denver? Was
Jake Plummer.
Jake Plummer. Yeah. Right. And he wasn't that bad, but
he wasn't.
Denver had no chance in that game. There was a few games that I've watched over the years, especially some of the 70s teams, where you knew that when Pittsburgh was rolling in, it was going to be a bad day for you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like some of those playoffs against Houston, there was no way that Houston was going to walk out of there winning. There was just no way. Right? And even the Steelers, you listen to the guys like Joe Green and Ham and Lambert, and they all say the same thing to a T, that there was no way we were losing this game.
They didn't have a chance that day.
And Denver did not have a chance. There was no way that Pittsburgh was going to lose that game.
They had a very small chance of winning because they had Jake Plummer, he wasn't bad, but I do think he was propped up by Shanahan, which a lot of quarterbacks were. Shanahan was a great coach.
But he was running for his life that whole day.
He was running for his life. He was getting clobbered. He threw an
Man,
interception to Larry Foote in that game, which is hilarious to me.
Larry Foote of all people, you know what I mean? Like, all
Yeah,
right,
it's like how did Larry Foote get a
Potsy.
pick in the AFC Championship
Potsy
game? Good
gets a
for him.
pick, right?
Well,
You
that's
know?
that's Farrier. Farrier's Potsy.
Or oh, that's right. Okay, but we also got the coined. Oh no, we didn't get that yet. I'm sorry,
Uh,
my mistake. My mistake. That was the
well,
next one.
I know
That
that
was with Mike Tomlin. That was with Mike Tomlin, not with Bill Cowher.
I will say that Ben, this is one of the games where he kind of came out of his shell a little bit. I mean, I won't say shell because he'd been doing really well to that point, but he played very differently in this game and he just kind of played free. He was just kind of running around doing
Gunslinger,
his thing. Hmm.
gunslinger. That was one
Yeah.
of his first real true gunslinger games because he was drafted in
Mhm.
'04 and came out after Tommy Maddox got hurt and ended up going what 13-1, and then we lose
Yeah.
to New England in the championship game, right? So this was this next year. This was him coming back starting. It was his first starting year, you know what I mean? The
Hmm.
whole 9 yards and all that other happiness, right? And blah blah blah. Wasn't this also the year where he had the appendectomy and the motorcycle accident during the
No,
off
that's in the
season?
2006 year.
All right. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember, but
But
okay.
that's actually that's something that Bill Cowher's talked about before. They're like, hey, he goes, yeah, we went 8-8 in my last year, but I really think that if Ben didn't get into a near fatal motorcycle accident, that we go back to back as champions. I'm like, I don't know about back to back, but they definitely would have had a better shot at it.
They still had most of the same team back, so but okay.
Hmm.
There was no way that Pittsburgh was going to lose that game against Denver. All right.
No,
Here we go now. They win that game. Pittsburgh going to the
into
Super
the
Bowl.
Super Bowl.
And they haven't heard that for
This was
a
95, I
really
think.
long
97.
time. 1995 Super Bowl against the Dallas Cowboys, where Neil
Or
O'Donnell,
Neil
I think, yeah, Super Bowl 30, right? So now we're what? Super Bowl
40.
40. So 10 years later,
10 years later.
here we go
We're
in
going up
Detroit.
against Matt Hasselbeck and Mike Holmgren, which is kind of a underrated combination. I mean, really
And
good
and
quarterback, really
and
good head coach.
Derek Alexander
Sean Alexander.
or
Yep.
Sean Alexander, sorry, Sean Alexander as the running back. And didn't he have the most touchdowns that year by a running back or something?
Yes, but can you believe that guy won MVP over Peyton Manning?
Well,
I will never get
no,
over
I
that.
can't. No, I can't.
What the bleep. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Give me Peyton Manning over a running back every day and twice on Sunday, and it's not even close.
I'm with you. Pittsburgh goes to this Super Bowl, and it's for a fifth trophy.
Hmm. This game had so much more on the line under the surface than it would appear at face value. Whether it's Jerome Bettis's last game, and he didn't even really want to come back for the this year, and now they're in the Super Bowl. Now it's in Jerome Bettis's hometown. Now Bill Cowher gets another chance at glory. Is his career going to be marred as a Kyle Shanahan-esque career? Can he finally punch his ticket into the Hall of Fame? There's Mike Holmgren in his last stand as a really elite coach. You have Matt Hasselbeck, who really needed that game to cement his legacy. I feel like Matt kind of gets forgot. I feel like Matt is maybe one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the history of pro football. Like at least in the modern era. Like I don't, man, that guy does not get the credit he deserves, and it's because the Steeler defense in Super Bowl 40 wiped him off the map, and that's just a shame. But that's the cutthroat nature of the game, baby.
And the penalties that were called. That wasn't exactly the cleanest officiating game that I've ever seen in my life. I got to be honest with
No,
you. Some of those calls were pretty ticky tacky. Against
yeah,
Seattle. Okay.
Yeah, and but like I take a little bit of issue. Well, I take a lot of issue with the people that say like that's what won us the game.
Oh yeah,
You
no.
know,
Uh-uh.
it drives me nuts because like on top of it, for one, if you slow mo it, Ben crossed the plane. That bootleg, Ben did get in the end zone, and just nobody ever shows it for some reason.
See now, as much of that as I've seen, I didn't think he crossed. I
The
didn't
nose of the
feel.
football. That's
Yeah,
all you need is the nose of
I
the ball.
understand that. I trust me, man. I know, but I thought
Yeah,
that his
mansplaining football to you.
right. uh, but I feel that his knee was down, and I really felt that was a good challenge.
Mm,
Um, I I but hey, man, it is what it is, right? That's why
yeah.
I'm sitting here, and all those other people are sitting in where they are. Okay.
The Clark Hagen's play that a lot of people mention, that's definitely another one. I feel like is that actually I'm curious. I wasn't 100% sure about this when I made the video about it. Clark Hagen's was offsides, but it was also like it didn't break the foundation of the play or anything. It's not like they had to blow it dead or anything like that. And also he did get like clamped and held onto. Shouldn't that be offsetting penalties, or am I losing my mind?
So a neutral zone infraction or an offsides is basically a free play, but a neutral zone infraction is
Right.
when they blow it down. So it
And
was an
that's when like there's direct
offsides.
contact made.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're offsides, they're still gonna let them do the play, and that's a free play because
Right.
you're offsides, right? But if he was held and then he was called on the hold, then yes, that would have been offsetting penalties. They would have replayed the down, but that's not how it happened.
Yeah, but would you agree that's probably how it should have happened, though?
Yes, that's how it should have
Okay.
happened, right?
Do
But
you think
that's
it's
not
pretty
how it happened.
likely that? Do you think that Hasselbeck is pretty likely to throw that pick anyway? Then, because remember he threw a pick like 2 or 3 plays later. Who knows, right?
You got a 50-50 chance when you throw that ball, right?
That's
unless the
true.
guy is unless the guy is like, stupidly wide open and there isn't anybody around him for 20 yards like the way the Pittsburgh defense played this past year.
That's like the old Marty Schottenheimer philosophy. There's 3 things that can happen when you call a pass play. 2 of them are bad.
Okay, right? Either you get an interception or you get sacked. The other part is, hey, he completes the pass. All right. Okay.
So we have 2 big plays to talk about with this game, and I know we're kind of pushing the clock here, but we had the big breakaway Willie Parker run and the
The
Antoine
longest
Randall
run,
reverse pass.
the
So
longest run,
Willie,
that dude, Alan Faneca cemented his place in the Hall of Fame in that game. And it wasn't just because of that block. Because if you watch him throughout the whole game, dude was stellar. Like if you were
mm-hmm.
doing a PFF on him, he would have been over the top perfect. Okay. Nobody got past him and he made all his blocking assignments and he was the key kick out block that let Willie Parker fly.
And you have Jerome Bettis to thank for that play in the first place. Well, I'm not sure if it was necessarily drawn up in the sand, but he specifically told Willie, he's like, when they call this and they do that, make sure that whenever they like he called that play right down the middle, and as a result, we got the longest rush in Super Bowl history.
I loved it. And I love the fact that he did the flip at the end, you know what I mean? And Bill Cowher,
Just
you can hear him.
flopped into the end zone.
Yeah, and you can hear him. He's like, "Are you breathing?" Like, "Yeah, coach, I'm breathing."
As long as you're breathing, you're okay. Just don't be
Right.
hyperventilating on me.
Right.
And then
um,
there's the Antoine Randall L reverse pass, arguably the greatest play in Super Bowl history. It and the Philly special.
there's one that tops all of them.
What?
The James Harrison 100-yard reception.
Yeah, that was the
Interception.
that's the other argument. Yeah, the 100-yard longest play from scrimmage.
Interception. That I think is one of
Yeah,
the best Super Bowl plays. Okay.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just a sucker for gadget plays, so that's probably why I lean that
and
way.
I love how Tunch says, "Boy, when you're playing against Bill Cowher, you got to bring your full bag of tricks." And Bill
Hmm.
Cowher brought his full bag of tricks today, and Wizenhut reached deep into the bag, and dude. That is what also I think got Wizenhut his head coaching job.
Oh, easily. Yeah. And there was a lot of people that wanted Wiz to be the next head coach after Bill left, and like you could definitely see why. I mean, the guy was super duper creative. He had the perfect kind of style for Pitt's offense. You get
He
why.
did. He did.
And that play won us the game. That
It
closed it
did,
out for sure.
and it also won Heinz Ward the MVP
Yeah, definitely.
because he
Got him a
deserved it.
free car.
And it's free trip to Disneyland,
Yeah, that's nice. It's
right?
always a nice touch.
You just won the MVP of the Super Bowl. Where are you going? I'm going to Disneyland, right? You're right. Okay. Seriously,
Yeah,
they do still do that, by the way. If you win the MVP, not only do you get a car, but they still send you down to Disneyland. The
I love
full
it.
gambit. You get a little parade to go through the thing in Disneyland and everything. They put you on a car and it's a little parade and everything. Oh yeah, dude. They do the full whack bound down there for you when you win the MVP. But
And as one
that
last moment to
yeah,
highlight
yeah.
that Mike Holmgren's clock management was absolutely abhorrent in this game. Single-handedly blew like 6 points and then blew the final 6 minutes of the game. I don't know if you remember, but they were running the ball on like 2nd and 10, down 2 scores with no time left. Like, what are you doing, man? And
You're
that was
Mike
the last
Holmgren.
that was the last
You're
piece to fall.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Go ahead. I'm
Well
sorry.
deserved. No, no, no. Well deserved win for Bill Cowher. We finally got to see the Gatorade bath for Bill Cowher. Um,
Well deserved.
you know, I was at the AFC Championship game
You
when
were in Denver?
no, when Bill played against the Indianapolis Colts to go to Super Bowl 30. I was at
Oh,
I was at the AFC Championship game there in Three Rivers. And when the ball was thrown, Tom Zach threw the ball and it bounced off of dude's chest and then onto the ground. I
right.
mean,
Yeah, the big replay of the sea of hands.
that whole place just exploded. And I remember very distinctly when Bill Cowher held up the AFC Championship trophy, and you could just see the tears coming down his eyes when he did that, and there I was crying right along with him. Big crocodile tears, you know what I mean? Like, because I was there. I was actually there. Like, okay, right? And then we go and do what we did in that Super Bowl, and it was like, really?
And it was
But
just great. This team this 2005 team who went up and down and up and down and had so much adversity thrown at them to see them finally hoist that gosh darn trophy after so long it was the perfect way to cap it off.
I think that was one of the better teams. Yeah, they only
Easily.
finished 11-5, and they didn't have exactly the best defense, and
They
they
were
didn't
better than
have
11-5.
right, and they didn't have the best offense. But you look at the roster, he's already in the Hall of Fame,
Everybody
right?
else will be too.
Jerome is already in the Hall of Fame. Ben's going to be in. You
Hmm.
getting where I'm coming from here on this,
Yeah.
right? A lot of guys from that team are going to end up being in the Hall of Fame. Okay, I really feel
Yeah.
that. Okay, because of the how that team was put together and what they were able to do.
Yeah.
And all you have to
So
do then, last thing I'm going to say, all you have to do then is look at that 2005 team, and 70% of those guys are on the 2008 team. Oh, what? What? All you did was change coaches.
and our line got worse.
Yeah, our line
That was
got
the only
worse.
real change.
Yeah. But Gage, my man, we got a great show here, dude. We got to talk about the
100%.
2005 Pittsburgh Steelers that hoisted the Lombardi Trophy in Jerome Bettis' hometown. That was Jerome Bettis' last game, and it was great to see him get sent off like that. You know what I mean? It was great to see that this team was able to put that fifth Lombardi in the case because it had been so long since the fourth one came in, right? 1980
Mm.
was when the fourth trophy came in. So from 1980 to 2005, that's 25 years, man. That's a long time to go.
Hmm.
Thank you all very much for watching The Huddle, a 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers retrospective. That's my main man, Gage Ryan. Gage, where can we find all your stuff?
You can find my MMA content at Contender MMA, and you can find myself, Steel. Oh, I always forget to call you Steel. It's just how I know you, pal. But you can find myself, Ron, Frayne, Steve, and everybody else for all of our content that's Steeler related that you can't find on this channel at Five Star Matchup.
For sure, for sure. And you can follow me, Steele or Ron, or at RNJ underscore media. You know what I mean? Please check out the YouTube channel, man. Lots of great stuff there. Some great shows there. Be sure to check that out. Thank you all very much for watching. We will catch you all on the next episode of The Huddle.